Protection with Blessings. Maṅgala Sutta. By Venerable Uttamo Thera. 30. Austerity. 31. Celibacy. The commentary explained austerity, tapa, as restraint of the sense faculties. Tapa is a concept of the Indian religion, such as extreme meditation, mortification of the physical body, austere practices, penance, etc. In the first discourse of the Buddha, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the Buddha, rejected the meaning of tapa as mortification of the body which was extreme. Therefore, the Buddha used it as the same word, wholesome energy, virya, which burns up unwholesome qualities. In the Buddha sense, tapa is burning up the feeling of unhappiness and disappointment, and strong wanting. Someone possesses this quality is called an ardent person or yogi. It is a blessing because it can lead to absorption, jhanas, and other attainments by abandoning all the obstacles. The commentary explains celibacy or spiritual life, brahmacharya, as abstaining from all sexual activity, the duty of a spiritual person, the Buddha Dharma, the teaching, practice or the path, Noble Eightfold Path. It is a blessing because this is the cause for the successive achievements or attainments in the spiritual life. The Pali word tapo or tapa means to extinguish defilement by striving hard. Here translated as austerity. Brahmacharya is celibacy or life of celibacy or holy life. The meanings of tapa and brahmacharya are not much different. According to Tarpai Gan Sayadaw, here austerity had to take sila and celibacy as samatha vipassana, concentration insight, practices. In Pali text, tapa was commenting in many ways, a name for restraint, the ascetic practices, dhutunga, energy, patience, khanti, brahmacharya, etc. So, here to take both austerity and celibacy as sila, samadhi and panna practices or the Noble Eightfold Path. In this Maṅgala Sutta, patience, khanti, is also tapa. The holy life, brahmacharya, is the practices of a monk with celibacy and other holy practices. In life when an encounter with dangers and sufferings, tapa and brahmacharya or sila, samadhi and panna are true refuges. Other things and matters are not true refuges, for examples during sickness and dying. In the Sagathavagga, Devaputta Samyutta, Subrahma discourse, the Buddha said to the young Deva, deity, Subrahma as follow. SN 2.17 Subrahmasuttam. Not apart from enlightenment, bojjhangas, austerity, tapa, restraint of the sense faculties, indriya samvara, and relinquishing all, sabbanisagga, the Buddha could not see any security for all living beings. Why did the Buddha say these dharma to him? There were interesting dharmas we can learn from this discourse. The stress of the young deity. Once the young deity Subrahma and his 1,000 celestial nymphs went to a flower garden for amusements. 500 nymphs went up to the tree. They plucked the flowers and threw it down for the other nymphs under the tree. They made wreaths of flower and others. Even they may be in singing and dancing with the music. After some times passed by, the voices on the trees became silent. Because the nymphs on the tree suddenly expired and they were immediately reborn in the Avicii hell. As soon as Subrahma realized it, he checked with his divine eyes and saw all of them suffering in hell. Therefore, he examined his lifespan and knew that he and the other nymphs would die after 7 days. They would encounter the same fate in hell. The young Deva was in utter fear and came to the Buddha for help. So, the Buddha taught him the Dharma. Perhaps he had acquired a compelling sense of urgency, samvega, during the discourse and established in the fruit of stream entry. The Buddha taught 5 natural laws or fixed orders, niyama. These were 1. Utu niyama, fixed order of temperature. 2. Bija niyama, fixed order of genetics. 3. Kama niyama, fixed order of actions. 4. Chitta niyama, fixed order of the mind. 5. Dharma niyama, fixed order of phenomena. Exception on Kama niyama, scientists and psychologists know more or less of the others. Kama starts the beginning of being life. It decides the inferior and superior, low and high status of a being. It leads or decides a being to degenerate and progress. It creates suffering and happiness of a being, etc. We can find all these important and valuable teachings only in the Buddha Dharma. The Buddha divided the Kama in 4 ways with their functions. 1. Reproductive Kama. 2. Supportive Kama. 3. Habitual Kama. 4. Destructive Kama. Here we have to understand destructive Kama, upahataka Kama, in 2 ways, positive and negative. For example, a powerful wholesome Kama destroys the unwholesome Kama. Angulimala, the garland of fingers bandit, had killed a lot of people. When he became an arahant, this heavy wholesome Kama destroyed all the results of unwholesome Kama he had done before. For the destructive negative Kama, we can give the example of Devadatta, the Buddha's cousin. He had jhana and psychic power. Later he had ill will and persuaded the young prince to kill his father King Bimbisara, and then he tried to murder the Buddha and split the Sangha. So, he lost all his spiritual power and at last fell into Maharavichi hell. Here the 500 nymphs fell into hell had a connection with the past destructive Kama. The law and working of Kama was one of the 4 inconceivable phenomena. One of the great disadvantages of heavenly realms are the beings there do not have the chances to cultivate goodness or wholesome merits. They only enjoy the wholesome results of their past kamas. Therefore, the deities or heavenly beings understand the results or benefits of wholesome kama more than human beings. Because human beings cannot see the results directly like deities, other important factors are human beings not only rely on their past kamas, but also the present life of their abilities such as right effort and intelligence or wisdom. Right effort and intelligence are more evident than the past kamas for most human beings. Only people who understand the Buddha Dharma very well no doubt about the importance of the results of past kama. I had heard a Dharma talk by a Burmese monk on the 3 creators or gods. He referred him to kama, effort and knowledge, which represented the 3 creators. But most human beings rely on or take refuge in outside powers who or which they have never seen before. Just believe in the words of the prophets or by other mediums. In the Digha Nikaya, the first discourse mentioned there was the Nets of Views discourse. In there, the Buddha mentioned 62 kinds of wrong views of his time, and most of the wrong views were a connection with samatha practices. On the 5 khandhas, the Buddha said that consciousness, vijnana, was like a magician. Except for the Buddha and Arahants, all living beings have all the inversions, vipallasa, or some of them. The power is not come from outside but within ourselves. Everyone has the potentiality to transcend things. The 500 nymphs fell into hell by using up all their good past karma with sensual pleasure in heaven all the time. They did not have the chances to cultivate goodness. So, their destructive karma had the chances to come in so easily. Here another important point to contemplate about was the utter fear of the young Deva went to see the Buddha for help. Why was he so frightened and distressed? Because he had seen the sufferings of hell, and after 7 days, he would be there. Some human beings seem very good now, but in their past lives, maybe not. Therefore, all living beings must pay back their karmic debts in some ways when times are ripe. In samsara, living beings are the slaves of kilesa, defilement. They are doing everything with body, speech and mind for the masters. So, we all have these karmic debts to pay for. There are 2 ways we can pay back our karmic debts: with the khandhas, i.e., body and mind, and the Noble Eightfold Path factors, i.e., Magga or path knowledge. By paying back the debts with the khandhas, and it will never end. Because we all will continue to create karmas in the rounds of existence. Therefore, we all are still in samsara. The best and secure ways to pay the karmic debts is the path knowledge or the path factors, which now Subrahma Deva was looking for it. Dukkha is our great teacher. Because of Dukkha Sakha, the young Deva had acquired a compelling sense of great urgency, strong samvega, that he met the Buddha for help. It is quite natural for living beings when they are suffered looking for true refuge and help. But how many people have the right search, or know the right ways? Because of their very deep and thick ignorance that beings in samsara were never found the true refuge. Even nowadays, the Buddha Dharma is still existing, and how many of the world population have it? Only the Buddha appeared in the world, beings had the chances for it. Even though still, not many beings had the opportunity to know the Dharma. The Buddha told him was very clear that he could not help him directly, not falling into hell. Buddha only showed the way to transcend distress. Every being has the inner power to transcend it if he follows by the Dharma. Therefore, the Buddha taught him, not apart from enlightenment, bojjhangas, austerity, tapa, restraint of the sense faculties, indriya samvara, and relinquishing all, sabbanisagga, that could prevent him falling into hell. This teaching represented the 3 training, sila, samadhi, and panna. Except that the Buddha could not see any security for all living beings. Therefore, the Buddha said that austerity and celibacy were the highest blessing and protection.